All right, man. Here it is. You've lost that Reno feeling. Whoa, that Reno feeling. You've lost that Reno feeling. Now it's gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I love it.
That was a great one, man.
I get down on my knees for you. Boom, 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 boom. All I want is to get paid for the things we do. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Make the whole show like this. Give us the whole tune, man.
Darling, don't take my check away. Hey, oh, yeah. It's the only thing that's going to keep me here for the day. That's my song, brother.
That was amazing. That was Jim Caruk, man.
Why do I have a funny feeling he didn't even practice that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so, man. Jim, thank you very much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. We are in the Caruk Hall offices. We've got a jam-packed show going on here. Carlito.
Manny.
We've got a very interesting show. So I want to actually begin with a little bit of a historical fact.
All right.
Can Jim, because I know you've been in the business for about a week or two.
Yeah, a few weeks.
I don't want to date. We'll get into that. Can you give me an idea what the early homes were called? What they were called? I'm talking 1800s.
Oh, jeez.
Any idea what those homes were called?
Shacks.
They were called wattle and daub homes. They were made from wooden frames and were filled with sticks and made from mud and clay and grass.
Just like my grandma's and my grandpa's out in northern Manitoba.
Yeah.
They were the true pioneers, man.
So that's how they used to build them over 200 years ago. And then we had the British settlers come in, and all of a sudden they started bringing in the diamond pane windows. They started doing the enormous stone chimneys because they were using the chimneys quite a bit. Then you had the Germans. The Germans come in the 1700s, and they started making thick walls and exposed timber. Yeah, hand-hewn beams, that's it, and clay tile was first introduced.
Don't forget about the skylights from the Italians.
No, that's a different story. But then we had the Spanish. The Spanish came in and they brought the stucco, and they started doing all that Caribbean kind of vibe. The French came in and they started focusing on Louisiana, and of course they started doing a mix of European ideas. So that's all 200-300 years ago.
There's one thing you're leaving, and
what's that?
Portugal needs to be
Here
in this
we go.
one. And the Portuguese were covering their couches in sheepskin.
Not the plastic of today. Not the plastic of today, right? Yeah. So, Jim, you'll probably notice there'll be a few Portuguese and creation jokes, right?
Hey.
We'll get to your background eventually. But, okay, so quick shout out to Instagram at Jim Caruk on Instagram.
Yep.
And then at Caruk Hall.
On
Instagram and also on Facebook?
I don't know. No,
probably. We'll get into that. That's part of my question.
I'm too old for that shit.
No, you can never be too old for that shit. And then the website is www.carukhall.com.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we are in your lovely boardroom here at the...
Yeah, 1 month old.
1 month old. It's brand new. Yeah. Brand spanking
new.
Just moved
in.
I'm ready to move in.
Months.
That's it. It still has that new car smell.
It does.
It does.
It's funny you say that. This used to be an auto body shop.
Was it really? So the bays were right here?
Just at the back.
Oh wow,
that's funny.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get right into it, Jim. So tell us, what decade did you start in construction?
What decade? Well, let's say I finished school in 73.
73.
Yeah.
19.
1973. That's right. And then I was hired on by Local 30 right out of school. I took sheet metal, HVAC, whatever you want to call it. For 15 years, I did that. So I, got to work on which we called the first Canadian place way back in the day, which is BMO Tower. So I was in charge of coordinating as an apprentice. Coordinating all the ductwork going to the 72 floors from the shop. So I was a shop man.
Almost 50 years.
Crazy, eh?
You got a few stories to share.
Few, man. A few.
Where do we?
Three recessions.
No
Still
shit.
here.
Yeah. Wow. Huh?
Yeah.
So where do we begin? Where do you want to begin, Carlito?
Well, it's kind of impressive that you started in the union.
So
That's really
because it was
interesting.
the big thing back then, right? I mean, the union actually, I had a job before I even finished school. They came and they looked at the guys in the trade, and they kind of pick and choose who they wanted. It was big back then, right? Everybody wanted to be a tradesman. Not like, as soon as the 80s hit, nobody wanted to be a tradesman anymore. Everybody wanted to be in all the computer shit. It was a great 15 years, but I just got got bored. I wanted to do stuff on my own. I was good with my hands. Just didn't want to bang tin and put all that shit up all day long. Just started doing small stuff, then decks, fences, all that shit, and then I was really good with aluminum because of the metal. So long story short, we got laid off early 80s for a couple months, and my buddy did home improvements. We used to go to the Fish Joy where Mike's...
No way, Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy. So I knew Uncle Billy long before I knew Mike.
Wow.
In the 80s.
Oh, wow.
I used to go to Fish Joy myself.
So we'd go there first thing in the morning, like at 7, and we'd have breakfast, have fish and eggs, right? And so anyways, I worked with this guy, Sean. Billy would know Sean Dickey. And
That sounds so familiar. I may even know him.
and his brother Luke. You might know them.
They were on the show before you, weren't they?
They might have been because they weren't on when I was
Jim's
there.
getting ahead of me on this because obviously that's on my list of questions. But
But anyway, so
Yeah,
long story
yeah.
short, Sean goes, "Hey Jim, could you come with me? And I'm going to put in some windows." So he put me on the handbrake, and I was, I could go like a million miles an hour. He goes, "Holy shit!" He said, "I didn't know you were that good." And then I said, "It's just aluminum, man, right?" So he says, "I'll give you 40% of everything we make per day." So one day, it was 1:00. He hands me $600. This is in the 80s, man.
wow, you're not even
And,
getting
and
that
I
now.
go, "This is it?" He goes, "Yeah, you got your boat, right?" I go, "Yeah." He says, "Let's go out in the boat." I said, "Dude, why don't we work all day and make more money?" Right? So then I realized, okay, you know what? There's some good dough in this. After about a year or so, I started doing my own thing. Then one thing led to another. I got approached by a big window company in Montreal to do all their installations. Packed it in, and away I went.
I have a funny feeling this is going to be a good story. This is really important for me in the podcast. We're always trying to educate people on saving money or having a pension. So you did 15 years, so you have a full pension right now.
No.
You cashed it in?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So you reinvested it.
Yes.
You were at an
Yeah.
age where you cashed it in.
Yeah, so you get what you put in, right?
Yeah.
So back then it wasn't much. I mean, it was like $6,000. So you got to remember, I started out so you get 50% of the journeyman's wage. 73. What do you think the journeyman's wage was?
No idea.
Guess.
I don't know.
Take a shot.
10. No?
No.
Less?
Yep.
No.
It was $5.80
No.
an
Oh
hour.
God.
Are
you kidding me?
No, I started off at $2.90 an hour.
Wow.
1973, $2.90 an hour?
That was it. Yeah.
$2.90 Canadian dollars an hour.
So I made $86 a week.
Let's just put that into perspective for today.
Yeah.
So I guess, what's the journeyman make you today?
40 probably.
Yeah,
40.
40 start
Yeah.
at high risk.
50 years and 40?
The journeyman took home between 180 and 190.
Wow.
Crazy, eh?
That's insane.
And you were
37 and a half hours a week. We were finished at 1:00 every day on Friday.
but you had the math right. You were doing it under 40 hours. Like today, you can't do that anymore.
No.
Not unless you have a successful business, right?
Yeah.
No pension, but you cashed it in and reinvested. Did you do well in that?
Yeah, you know what? I've done okay. I mean, the stock market's not my thing. Never has been. I tried a few times, lost my shirt. So I just said, you know what?
Who hasn't?
I got to stick to what I know best.
Yeah.
And, just doing the homes and stuff has been my thing. Here's the story when I finally left. So after 3 months of working with Sean and all that, I came back to work, and then I ended up getting married, and I had our first kid in 80. When was Haley born? 85? 86. Haley was born in 86. So she was born with a hip dysplasia, dislocated, whatever. What that means is if we did nothing for her, she would probably be in a wheelchair today and wouldn't be walking. So what they did, at 6 months old, they realized this, so they put her in a full body cast from her chest down to her ankles, and it was like this she didn't learn to walk until almost a year and a half. My wife and I had to, flip her over every 3-4 hours so she wouldn't get bed sores. Being that I'm working like the brake, which is a huge machine, I went into my boss and I said, look, man, I'm coming in with 4 hours sleep. Either I'm going to take my fingers off or I'm going to take somebody else's off. So I said, do you mind if I come in a little later and I'll stay a little later? So my top boss, Heinz, he was great. He goes, yeah, no problem. But the foreman, Klaus, didn't really like me that much, right? And so anyways, this goes on for, 6-7 months until Haley finally got out of the body cast. So I kind of, I'm not going to lie, I kind of milked it a little bit because I already had hired somebody and they were working. Well, I was working, and then when I finished at 4 o'clock or 3:30, whenever I finished, and I'd go and work with these guys until the sun went down. So one day, Klaus started on me, screaming and yelling at me, oh, you don't do this, you don't do that. And fuck, I just said, you know what, fuck this, I'm out. All right, so I walked out. And this is what an apprentice, was I an apprentice then? No, I wasn't an apprentice, I was a full journeyman. But this is what it was like back in that day of being an apprentice or being anything. And dealing with Germans, right? And no, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean,
this show's brought to you by the German Tourism Council,
right? And I mean, I got pissed off, and I don't, and I hope when people are listening to this, I don't take this, I'm just telling you how it went down, and I don't mean any racism or anything by it, right?
No.
But one day, Klaus is screaming and yelling at me, and you got to do this, and there was a mezzanine on top. And he'd walk and crawl back and forth in the mezzanine, looking down into the shop. And we have 50 guys in the shop. And he'd be looking down. I go, what the fuck is this, right? Finally, I just lost it. I said, what the hell is your problem, man? It's this, you're not running a goddamn concentration camp, right? What is this, Stalag 13? You have to walk on the wall? I said, Jesus, this is bullshit. So anyways, he's yelling and screaming. I said, I'm out. I'm gone. I leave, right? So I pack up and I leave. This is about noon. And I get a call from the main boss, Heinz. He calls me up about 9 o'clock. And he goes, Jim, you walked off the job today. I said, yeah. Hey, look, man, I've been here 15 years. I said, I can't take this shit anymore. I'm done. I don't need to listen to him. I produce more than anybody in this place. He goes, no, you're right. You do. I said, well, then why should I put up with this shit? He goes, well, this is insubordination. I said, what? He goes, this is insubordination. I said, dude, I walked off the job. I said, where does insubordination come from? We're on the phone till midnight for 3 hours. And he goes, I have to fire you. I said, okay, do what you got to do. I did what I had to do. You do what you have to do. And he goes, well, okay. So at the end of the 3 hours, I goes, am I fired or what? I said, I'm getting mixed emotions here. Like, what's happening? And he goes, okay, can you come in tomorrow? I said, okay, what time? He goes, well, come in around 9. I said, all right. I said, do I wear work clothes or, regular clothes? No, come with your work clothes. It's all right, fair enough. So, I go into the office, and there's another buddy of mine, Jim. And just so happens, we both go through the same shit. and he's got Klaus in the office. I'm like, oh, Christ, here, what's going on now, right? So anyways, Heinz is supervisor, Klaus is foreman. Heinz looks at foreman and goes, don't ever bother these two again.
Oh, wow.
He says, these guys work their ass off and they outproduce everybody in this place. You know, I was kind of labeled back then as Heinz Golden Boy. Like that's what you're called when you're an apprentice or something, right? So anyways, that's how it went. And that lasted for about a week. And that's when I got offered the job installing all the windows. Didn't even bother going in one day. Walked in around noon. And so when was that? I was probably in the 80s. So cowboy boots were in then. So I had my armadillo boots on with the brass toes. Walked right through the shop. Right?
I could see the tumbleweed right now, man.
Walked right through the shop, right past Klaus, into the office. Heinz leans back in his chair and he goes, today's the day, right? And I go, yeah, I'm going. And he goes, good for you. He goes, if I were you, I would go. He says, you got so much more to give. He says, off you go. This job's here for you anytime you're ready to go. I said, thanks. What was that? 6 months? 6 months after that, economy took
A dive.
Principal Heating is where I worked. Closed the doors. They were gone. Had nowhere to go.
Wow.
Other than just make it happen. Married, kid, quit my job, got a mortgage. Married kid, got a mortgage. Then I quit my job. Not the brightest guy in the world, right?
Recession.
But you know what? Right. But it makes you
Hungry.
Work
right? Hard, yeah.
All right? Makes you hungry, makes you go after it.
Makes you figure things out, new directions.
Totally, man. Like you have to do it. You have no choice. And this is, I mean, I might be getting off topic here, but
No, this is great.
This was brought up to, this is one of my carpenters. He's about 58, and he mentioned this. He says, he's a sub. He goes, I have a hard time hanging on to younger carpenters. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. He says, you know what? They just get up and they'll leave for $1 more an hour or
They'll
this
jump.
and that.
They will jump.
And I said, what do you think is, why do you think this is? He goes, you know what? They have not been through a recession or anything yet. They don't know what it's like. And you know what? It's a very valid point.
He's right.
You know, I mean, we had a little blip in 07, and that
No,
was
that was-
more
that was
more in
nothing.
the financial world.
Yeah, that was nothing compared to what's going on right now.
Well, then, yeah, I mean, what's going on right now is a whole another game, right?
I want to get back to, because you brought us up to the mid-'80s, late 80s. So eventually I want to get to the 90s.
You want to get to the 90s?
I want to get into the 90s. But yeah, you bring up a really good point. So I want to briefly talk about what's going on in the current climate, the world, and a lot of union guys, a lot of commercial guys are staying on the job site. They're not staying the 6 foot distance from each other. They're being, for lack of a better word, forced to continue working. But they are scared. They are union guys. They are scared about bringing it home to their families.
You know what? I mean, I've said this a million times that even in the best of times, when we didn't have any of this going on, what do you got? 5 or 6, portable toilets, and you got 100 guys. Come on.
Yeah. And they're not always kept clean.
Work, right?
It's brutal.
No,
It's brutal.
No, I think it's. I mean, they have to do something. I mean, yeah, we're smaller, and I don't even know if we're doing it right. I mean, I'm allowing a trade per house to go in, and we keep everybody. And you heard me earlier. I was, trying to maneuver everybody so that nobody is crawling on themselves, right? And now that's 5 people. We're trying to keep it down to 4, but you keep some upstairs, some down.
Well, just so you know, we weren't eavesdropping because we were enjoying your decor here at the office.
We were having so much fun talking about your place that we didn't even hear what you said.
But going back to you, Manny, just so you know, I know a lot of guys in the union. No one has to work. They all have the right to go home.
Yeah.
I want you to know that guys are between 6 and 8 feet apart from each other. And anyone sick or even with a drippy nose or even a smoker's cough are off the job site. So it's very, very clean. And you know what? We gotta really do a shout out for these guys. These guys are keeping our hydro going, our water running.
The essentials, I totally agree with you. But the problem is that in any pandemic that goes on in this situation, you have to stop the spread. Canada's numbers haven't returned. Like they haven't, reduced. They keep on growing.
I think we need to get rid of dog parks.
Dog parks. Dog parks have nothing. The dogs
That's where everyone's mingling.
No, everyone's staying. I guess my point is that not until you see these numbers drop or they flat out and then there's no more new cases, that's when we continue going our way. But I think realistically in the next 4 or 5 months, this is going to still be the norm. I mean, all three of us have been to grocery stores.
Unless Ford and Trudeau just say, that's it, shut it down.
They won't.
How can they?
They can't.
And then sure, all this stuff that they're offering, the 75% of this, you can get a loan and everything else. Every day it changes again.
Yeah.
Now you got to be, lose 30% of your business before they'll think of giving you that. Yeah. Look, when you're in your own business, dude, you got to fend for yourself.
It's scary. What you got to do is exactly what happened to you. And you're right about what your foreman was saying. These guys haven't experienced this yet.
No.
They haven't had their feet to the fire yet. And now they're actually having it for the very first time. It's going to be interesting when it all goes back to normal towards the end of this year and early next year to see the impact on the construction industry. Because you're right. I feel the same way. And we've had guys shut out, millennials, asking us to be a little easier on them. You know what I mean? Because we've got our opinions about them.
We're easy on the good guys.
Yes.
And the guys that deserve it.
I completely agree with that, right? It's just, I think that they need to step up. They need to realize that we couldn't keep on going the way we were going. And hopefully we won't get a huge percentage of the labor force, leaving the entire industry. I really hope that doesn't happen.
I don't think we're going to have that happen. I think you're going to see companies fold.
Yeah.
You're going to see some of your competition not around anymore. I mean, that was one thing when it happened, 89, 90, 91. I mean, I hung on and, I was lucky. I had my brother-in-law was, he was the president. He started YTV actually.
Wow.
And, you were telling me that. I remember this.
Yeah.
It's a good story.
And it was during the time, and he phoned my wife, which was obviously his sister, and said, how's Jimmy doing, right? And she goes, he's not doing great. There's not a whole lot for him to do. And he said, send him down. I can probably get him to build me a few offices or something. So I end up going down, and he says, can you build me a boardroom? I said, sure. He says, can you build me a cafeteria? Sure. And this is 5 years after YTV is opened. And Dalton Engineering, which is huge, they built the original one. And then he says, what about a studio? I said, sure. And so I called my buddy who was an acoustic engineer, got a hold of an architect who was a friend of mine. And I had no idea what I was doing at all. And we came up with this brilliant idea. Had all the boards, with all the carpet, how's everything going to look, and all the costs of everything else. Had to present it to the whole board. We ended up getting this thing, and away we went. We
built it.
This
was the 90s?
This was about 92-ish, 91, 92, because I started out doing some small stuff.
That was a good year. I bought my first Saturn SL2 then.
It was dent resistant.
There you go. Yeah, that is all plastic.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to interrupt.
But then that, as I mentioned before, then that led to Life Network. When it first came out, because they took over the old TSN building and said, "Oh yeah, get Caruk to do it. He done this," so I did that. Toronto Film Festival moved to Carleton, and I ended up doing 15,000 square feet. Built them a theater for 35-seat theater. By then, Neil and I, who was working with me at the time, then we got into Leaside, and we had a great run in Leaside during the 90s. And then when the show started, just before the show started, I got tied in with Long and McQuaid, and they said, could you redo our store, or there was a store beside it, can you do this? And I said, yeah, sure. So, we ended up pricing it. Then they came back with penalty clauses of $4,000 a day.
Oh, the commercial world.
Right. And I go, no, sorry, man, I'm out. And they go, well, we got to have penalty clauses. I said, look, here's a $300,000 job that is going to turn into a $600,000 job. I said, because it can't be done in the time you want it done. Anybody that takes it is going to price it with all the penalties in it, because there's no one can do this in 3 months. Sure enough, the cheapest price was $580,000. So they come back to me a month later and said, okay,
You could do it.
you can do it. So I ended up doing 4 of them. Did the guitar store on Bloor.
Oh,
No
wow.
way. Wicked.
Yeah. Did the, what do they call it? The piano percussion store, I guess, whatever. Beside that, then I renovated their original store. Then I built the store in Oshawa, 15,000 feet. Then I built the store
Look at that,
in Mississauga on Mavis there.
All this podcast equipment is from Long McQuaid.
There you go.
That's really-
So is my drum kit.
We don't. we don't even.
Did you bring it?
I brought it, yeah.
So I'm just thinking, man. Like Carlito and I don't even need to be here. Just keep on talking, Jim. That's all. You're already leading into everything, man, that we want to talk about. Are you?
This is really interesting because I was really expecting you to be in residential this whole time. And you actually really started in commercial, spent 15 years in commercial, and then you went right back into commercial.
Brother, when I started, first Canadian place, BMO Tower, was the only tower. We would go up on the 72nd floor and have lunch. And all there was just I don't even know if it was 4 feet, maybe three feet high, just a steel fence around. That's what held you up. The safety, there was no safety.
There was
back
nothing
then.
bad.
No, it was crazy. And I worked on TD Towers and Roy Thompson Hall. It's pretty cool.
And what's really cool too is it's ironic that you worked around television this whole time. Did you ever think you were going to end up in TV?
So when I was out YTV, they were asking me to do all that stuff, but there wasn't really anything on. There was a guy on, I forget what his name is, big Italian guy, with big long hair and beard, and he would do like small little home improvement stuff. And I forget what the show was called.
I remember Yannick's. He was one of my favorite.
And then he came out, right?
Yeah, Yannick's. And
When did you get into TV?
2000, I was doing a job for a client down on Moore, and it was a semi-detached house. Neil and I were doing it. She wanted to build an addition. I said, well, I can't get to the back of your house to dig this addition. The only way I know of doing this is going underneath your house, going through your basement, come out the back. She goes, okay, all right, we'll do that. So I figured, okay, we'll take 5-6 months. It took 9 months. And it was your typical, I wish this was on camera, because it was your typical renovation, built this ramp from the sidewalk down, open up the basement wall, go flying in. While we're in there, she goes, do you mind maybe underpinning the basement so I get a little higher? So I said, okay, great. And we did that. And then, then it rained, and the rain, the water came down the ramp, down into the basement, and then turned, the basement into a quagmire, just like a mud pit. And then, so we got our little bobcats, the minis, they're stuck. She comes down the basement, and the stairs we suspended the stairs so she could watch. She lost her mind and everything else. And then we finally got the underpinning done. And then we got to the back wall, and we had to cut our way through the back wall, paw our way in to the back. And that's how we did the whole addition. Everything came from underneath. Then we could run the lumber down between the houses, 2 feet between the houses, right? That ended up taking 9 months. We finally, finished it. And she just looked at me and said, is this what every renovation's like? I said, no, you were special. But she goes, you know what? I think this stuff should be documented. I'm a producer.
No
I said,
way.
All right. I said, here, everybody hates our industry. They all think we're schlocks. They all think we're bandits. I said, I'll do the show on one condition. I get to say what I want to say, and the client can say whatever they want to say about me, but it goes both ways. I said, this industry needs to know, before you get in, just like yourself, before you get involved in something, you need to be realistic and understand what you're getting yourself into. That's how Real Renos started.
I loved watching your show, and the part I really loved the most was that you were never on the show.
I was doing the Long and McQuaid's.
I don't mean it like that, but it was like it hit me at home base that
He was being a
people
GC, man.
People are always expecting that you're going to run one job, like their job's the only job.
Right.
And I felt that when I watched that and I would see your guys working, I'd be like, that's a real guy in television.
And that's the way the format was set up. Obviously different when Mike started because it was a little tighter. We had a video camera, shot like 5 minutes of what we think we're going to do, and took it to Barb Williams. And Barb goes, sure, let's give this a shot. There was no script, man. When I got out of the truck, whatever came out of my mouth, came out of my mouth. Wherever we were going, she would call me in the morning and she'd go, what job are you going to? I said, I think I'm going to this one, but then I got to go over to this one. So it was a shit show right from the beginning. You just didn't know what was going to happen. That's why the format wasn't just one job, get it done one episode. You had to follow the show to see the end of these jobs.
But so even more important that you had a real show was the truth sells itself.
Yeah.
And people really enjoyed it because it was the real thing. There was no, it wasn't made up. Like, this is really how construction, and homeowners need to hear it.
Well, you know what? And we need to hear it. If we messed up, then tell me. I mean, how many times on the show did people start squawking about me? A lot.
That was
right?
the reason why I was watching. Because I was,
Of course.
I was
Of
watching
course,
it because
Manny.
I remember on parts of the show where you had an irate client, neighbor, somebody, and they had to get blurred out and, Charlie Brown teacher voice. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just had to and I was like going, of course that has to be the case because obviously tempers are going to be flared and things are going to have to be, and you're not going to be nice all the time about it.
No.
You can try to be nice in the beginning, but as soon as someone turns on the not nice switch, all of a sudden they can start freaking out on them.
Yeah.
And that's what had to be happen, right? So then we get that reputation. We get that contractor. But that's what I liked about Real Renos was Real Renos.
You're not getting any more real than that.
No, that's what it was. And that was 20 years ago. And I enjoyed it. And how many years did it go for? It went 7, 8?
7 seasons, yeah.
7
Took
seasons.
2 years off after 5.
You reminded me of Pokeroo. I never knew when you were going to come. I was like, I wonder when he's going to be
That
here.
was the whole shtick. Even
There's Pokeroo.
yeah, that was the whole, even with Neil, right? Like,
Oh, Neil would say, I don't know where he is.
Yeah, exactly. I have no
meanwhile,
idea.
I'm
trying to
doing the Long and McQuaid stories, right?
now we know.
They're good gigs.
Now we know, man. Back then, it was easier. You guys just shot a little bit of video. This is a real slice of life, and this is what goes on in contractors' life. And all of a sudden, today it's different.
Can we follow through the commercial into the residential? One thing that me and Manny talk about, I always say me and Manny, it's mostly me talking, but I always love that some of the most beautiful projects they come from commercial. You going from commercial into residential, let's go with that. Like, how did you get into that?
Residential was easy for me. It was more my thing. I loved the detail. It was easy to.
When you did that house,
transition.
the Moore house, that's not your first big job, was it?
No.
When was the first house that you did? That would have been in the late 80s?
Yeah. Small additions in the late 80s.
Small additions first.
Yeah.
When was the very first new house, new build or full gut? When was that?
My own house.
Your own house. And that would have been when?
90. Oh, wait a second. No. 80, 89. Because I lost the house in the recession. And then we moved to Windermere, did a little addition on there. Then I moved to Kingsway in 91.
But you did do your house on the show.
No, not the first one.
Because I
wasn't
remember
the first one.
No.
I remember something stuck with me for years, because I used to watch your show all the time. You really were working hard and trying to become successful for your kids. Like that was the one thing I really remember. And as a teenager, to remember that now as an adult, that's like, it was like a really great
I took them to
moment.
school, did the whole thing, because I was a single dad, right? That was great. I mean, my ex and I get along fantastic, and that's what made it work. We just, every other day we would turn it off, right? So it was good.
Do you have any idea how many homes you've done, Jim? To date? You stopped counting? Is it like women? Stop counting?
Wait a second. Manny, how many numbers do you have here?
That's a different podcast. But I'm just trying to get an idea. Like, how many homes do you think in those years? I guess from the early 90s to now?
Are we getting to the 20s now, or are we still staying in the 90s?
No, we're floating back and forth. We're in the DeLorean, all right? We're going all over the place. I guess I'm trying to figure out, because now with Caruk Hall, you guys exclusively do homes, but you also do big rentals, big additions, right?
Yeah, and commercial work.
But you still do commercial work.
Yeah.
But how many homes do you think?
Oh, God, be a couple hundred easy.
Wow.
At least. And cottages too, right? I mean,
How do you like doing that? That must be scheduling.
you know what? I'm a sucker for punishment. I like a challenge. Took a challenge on building on an island. And I built 3 on the same island. Lost on the first 2, realized on the third one
Made money.
how to do it. Yeah.
Wow. That's not too bad, though.
That's not bad.
You know what? The life of a contractor, there's many projects that guys,
Like we're talking about now is a bad time in life, but most guys on Instagram and on medias try to pretend they're buying new tools and they got nice cars, but there's no money in the bank and there's trouble, right? Most contractors aren't making a lot of money; they're just breaking even.
It's true, man. That's true.
It's scary. I mean, I got a world of questions to ask, Jim. It's just, I'm trying to figure, okay.
I never see Manny like this.
No, okay, so let's just say, for argument's sake, 200 homes.
Okay.
200 clients.
Yeah.
There's some bad apples, but there's also some good apples.
Yep.
And I get you probably have the same kind of thing that I probably get as well too, because I look up to you, right? I respect you for what you've done to the industry, what you're doing for the industry. Even though you get screwed over, it still drives you forward to still do another project.
Always.
You don't give up. And I know that there's certain guys that just said, and I've met the guys. I've met some guys when they tell me that I used to be in construction. I heard about you. I saw some of the work that you did. I'm fascinated. I missed the work sometimes, but I left construction for the reasons, for losing their shirt, for financial. Not a lot of people can recover on that. How do you know when you have a good client? How do you know when you have a bad client? How do you know? Is it gut?
I want to hear this.
The answer to that, you don't.
You never know.
You never know.
That's what I learned.
You never know.
I learned in my short 11 years, a good can become bad.
Yep.
I've never seen a bad become good.
No.
But you never know. You're right.
No, you never know. I mean, all you can do is go in and learn. I mean, I'm still learning. You just got to learn to protect yourself. And, it means you get tougher, grow a thicker skin. Dan, my business partner, is tougher than I am. He holds no punches. If money's owed, he'll go right at him. I'm a different approach. The approach is what you see. This is my voice level when I'm talking, when I'm pissed off at them. Because I feel at the end of the day, you all got to keep a level head. I mean, you hopefully will get paid. It's the only business that you pretty much negotiate every invoice you give them. Even if they've already
So true.
agreed on a contract price, you give them, they give you a payment. And then why is it, as it comes closer to the end, you have to start
renegotiating?
Hey, Jimmy, come on, hey.
Do this for
I
me
owe
for
you
free.
5. How about 4? But you learn, you just say, piss on it. Give me the 4. I'm out.
And you
Done.
leave.
And you go. Because what's the use of fighting for it? There'll be guys that want to, okay, I'll take you to court, do this, for what? $4,000, $5,000? Are you nuts? It's going to cost you more just to set up a lien to do that. And people are smart now. And they know it. For them to stick you for $3,000 or $4,000, they know you're not going to come after them.
That's horrible to
I'm
hear.
saying it's true, because the
That's
very first problem I had with a client, they owed me $11,000 for my last payment, and they only want to pay $4,000.
Right.
And it went back and forth, and I had enough. And then all of a sudden, I had to speak to a lawyer for the very first time in my life. The attorney just said, "What do they owe?" And I said, $11,000. He goes, "Not worth it.
True.
You will never. It will cost you more.
Yep.
And you will never get that amount. So whatever they're offering, take it."
Yep.
Ended up getting 9,000 and change. I was lucky. But yeah, it's true. It's true that this is the only industry.
So the best way, the best way to protect yourself is just the less at the end, the better, right?
I'd like to really be even along the whole way. I never allow myself to allow them to get ahead or me.
You got to be careful of this holdback thing.
Yeah. Well, it's not a hidden secret, but there are costs that we put on top as contractors for extras and freebies and things going wrong. And that's what you use at the end, right?
The while you're here cost.
Yeah. Like how many times
I know,
have you
since
gone?
you're here.
Yeah.
Every house you've gone into, how many extra doors have you put in? How many extra rooms have you painted? How many more coats have you done?
But Jim, do you
Stop.
follow up with that? Do you okay, they ask for something, do you follow up and go, here's a change, here's an invoice,
If it's substantial, if
it's 4 figures,
yeah.
you will. But
Yeah.
if it's under 4 figures, under $1,000,
No.
you won't even bother.
No.
Depending on the scope of the work.
Yeah.
So if it's a $200,000 job, not even worth discussing it, and that's it. But what if they bring back 12 of these?
Then that's a different story.
It starts to add up.
But I
right?
say that to them.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
look, what do you want? An extra 5 pilot? Okay, it's fine. Any more than that, then we have to sit down and talk, right? I don't like nickel and dime. I don't like to be nickel and dime, and I'm not going to nickel and dime them either.
Yeah.
If you're fair, you're hoping that they're going to be the same to you.
Manny said it really well in one of our podcasts.
Don't speak for me.
I'm not speaking for you. I'm just making a statement. He said, if we were trying to get a penis enlargement, why are we not arguing with them about cost?
I'm pretty sure I never said that one. But the analogy's there.
That's a
The
good
analogy's
point.
there. Yeah. The analogy's there for sure. It is. Wow. What do you want to? I've got a world still to ask, man. What do you want to ask?
How long did you stay a smaller contractor? It doesn't sound like you were ever a small contractor.
No, it was just Neil and I at first, and then even
And a few sub trades, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I still have my trades, same trades,
But
Since then. That's amazing.
same trades.
that's some loyalty.
So what's
from
different
both ends.
about those guys compared to the guys today?
So one of my sub trades is, I would class him as a good friend, which is Vito from Columbia Concrete and Drain. He's my age, I think he just turned 65. We still put the boots on, man.
Wicked.
We're still in with the boys.
Lead by example.
Right. I mean,
So
I can't do what I.
You're not one of
used
those contractors that are sitting in their pickup
No.
truck with the volume on the speakerphone as loud as possible so the entire neighborhood could hear your conversation with the clients.
No.
You're not one of those guys?
No.
Okay.
I still carry it. I still carry my tool belt around.
Nice.
That's wicked. I love it.
Try not to put it on, but
But it's there.
but when I do put it on, everybody yells at, "No, Jim, just put it back, please. We don't want you here."
There is a difference, man. There is a level of respect when they start seeing you actually get your hands dirty and you're on site and you start working. You're not afraid to work.
I mean, they tell me to leave.
Get out. We know how to do it better and faster or
Right,
whatever.
right.
but-
You're in the way. Get away. You're an
Yes.
old man. Get out of the way, right?
Now, I have a curious question. Someone hires me. They're always hiring me for my capabilities or what I do.
Right.
So now that you've got all these guys working for you, are they doing it your way, or are you just working with them as a team and accepting the things that they do and then...
Okay, well, I'm not the guy that thinks I can do everything. I'm not great at everything. When I look at my guys, and we'll just say the finishing carpenters, they're far better than I would ever be. I may have some ideas the way I want it done, but they're going to tell me the best way to do it. I will agree with the expert. I never claimed to be an expert at everything. I'm good at detail. I'm good at putting stuff together. I mean, a vision for me is easy. I can visualize what I want. My guys have been with me long enough that they don't even, like I said, Darren, this is what I want. Build me this wall. Okay, no problem. They've done it enough. They know what I like.
Your expectations.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah. And we're
Great.
very picky. I mean, and, Darren's been with me 17, 18 years now. And he's a tough guy to work for if you're an apprentice because he's old school. And
He's a hammer.
yeah, like his comment to them right at the beginning is, look, I'm not your friend between 7 and 4:30.
Nice.
After that, we'll go have a beer.
Well, you're coming to work and
Coming
go
to
home.
work and to learn, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I think if, you're saying you get taken some heat from the millennials, if they would just sit back and watch and learn, maybe not watch, maybe help, get involved, they will learn so much more. I've said it, I'll keep saying it. This business, if any young kid wants to get into it, they will make a shit load of money. It's here and it's only going to, we're running out of trades. What's the average age?
Do you
The
really believe that?
100%.
100%. Totally.
Yeah. The average age of a tradesman now is, I don't know, probably 58.
Yeah. And they're still working too.
And they're still working.
I know a client, her dad was a crane op. And he's retired. He's 72, 73. He was called back in because they can't find any crane ops in the city.
Yeah. And that's good money, being a crane operator.
Oh, that's huge money. Huge money.
I was working with another crew, and these other guys were doing asphalt. So I grabbed the tool and I said, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to do some asphalt with these guys. And they just let me in there, and I'm trying to figure out where I can fit in without not rubbing the guys the wrong way. There's a guy, 65 years old, and he's running the boat. He doesn't have to say a word. I get in there and I'm trying to build up the asphalt so it's like an inch higher than the existing before it gets to. He's like, out of my way. No. And I'm like, I love it, man. You don't get that anymore.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. Like my stonemasons are all 60.
I know some younger guys, Irish guys. They're good.
Irish guys are pretty usually it's in the blood.
They're hard workers.
Yeah.
I know a lot of Irish concrete and masons, and they're good workers. Plaster guys as well. So I know a lot of younger guys. But yeah, you're right. They're not hungry, and they'll leave this ship for $1 for another ship.
Yeah.
And they're not thinking long term. They're not thinking about building a relationship with somebody or partnering up with somebody. Everybody's
Right.
selfish.
I like my trades, and they're not the cheapest guys, and they're not the most expensive guys.
But less headaches for you.
Well, less headaches, loyal. If there's a problem, if there's a leak in the plumbing or something, boom, Danny, come fix it.
You make a
No
phone call,
problem.
they come.
They come, right?
Yeah, you take care of them.
Yeah.
We're off schedule. Everything's all. We do this. We do this little thing in the middle. So
I'm not singing again, man.
No. So it's
Somebody's going to steal my tune and go make millions.
Wait. I know where he's going with this. A building talk with Manny.
no building code.
Building code with Manny.
I want to know, Jim.
Oh, here we go. I don't know anything about the building code.
Jim, I bet you know this. I totally bet you know this, man. So, because reality, I need you to tell me 2 questions here. I need you to tell me.
Wait, there was one question. There's supposed to be one question.
I know, but it's kind of connected. They're connected. When was the Ontario Building Code first enacted?
Holy Christ.
Wow, dude, that's a tough one.
And when
man.
was the National Building Code in Canada first published?
Don't know.
I'll give you a hint with the Ontario one.
70s?
You're good. It's 1 year after you actually started in this business, man. 74. 74 is when we first had an Ontario Building Code. The Canadian National Building Code was 1941.
Wow. Eh?
So from 41 to 74, they basically...
So that makes perfect sense.
Why is that?
So when I was doing my stuff in the 70s, because if that started then, the building inspectors really weren't that
They were very loose.
I remember doing my house. It was probably 92, 93. God love him. He's probably not with us now. Jimmy McGuire. He'd come in, I'd say, Jimmy, need my framing inspection. I was just a young kid then. Young kid, 30-something.
Hungry.
He'd come to the door. He would not come in. He'd look around and go, yeah. Call me for insulation, Jim. See ya. I'm out.
Don't you love those inspectors?
Oh, that was the best. That was the best.
There's still a couple that do that.
I know they do.
So, do you know when they started enforcing e-inspections?
No, that would be
Last
next week's
week.
question.
Oh, that's pretty good. No, I really feel like they started in around 2014.
Really?
Probably. Yeah.
Well, before that, there was nobody was really coming around. They didn't even know. They couldn't even keep up with the industry changing so fast and the materials coming.
But
into
again,
the country.
it's hit and miss in who you get.
Yes.
Say some of these building inspectors are young, they're book smart,
But they're not site smart.
They've never been on the site. I mean, I think that they should have to do at least a year on site.
Totally.
To understand a house.
practical.
And understand and say, hey, look, this is why we can't do it this way.
Can we do that with engineers?
That's a whole
Some
other
do.
thing, man.
I was going to ask you, Jim, what is your favorite trade? Like, which trade you actually are envious of because of the work that they can do, but not necessarily that you can do it. But I'm just curious on which one is your favorite, which was your least favorite, because I've got mine as well. But
I would probably say finished carpentry.
finished carpentry, yeah, yeah. And your
I
least
can
favorite
tell. Coffert, wainscoting everywhere.
in the office here. And what would you not like? Which trade you're not a fan of? Roofer.
No, you know what? I mean, they get a bad rap, up there in the sun all day. And I wouldn't say that's the worst trade because, again, it's something you see. You need somebody. It
That does
has
a
to be
great
done
job.
well,
Yeah,
right? So I don't know. Probably plumbing or
plumbing, huh?
probably HVAC, actually.
You're a sheet metal guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe that's why I got out of it.
My worst one is definitely mudders because I just hate cheap mudding.
Yeah, a great guy that knows how to do that. They're rare to find, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an art.
It is. You can do it the cheap way and
Yeah.
fast, and it looks beautiful for
Yeah.
2-3 years.
Yeah.
Or you can do something that's a lifetime.
Well, if people want to spend the extra money and just do like a stage 5, we call it, and just skim everything, that's the way it should go.
I call it the level 6, the Croatian style.
Here we go. Here we go.
So since he's already asking favorites, what's your favorite tool? I gotta ask.
I don't know. I think this is a
come
crap.
on.
I
I'm
don't.
waiting.
I don't think I'm gonna say Bosch.
I'm gonna say.
I have to pick a brand.
Oh, brand. Yeah, sorry,
what,
brand.
no, but what really?
But
is,
what tool? What
And you
tool?
don't have to say Hilti right away.
You know what? Everyone has its tool.
Every
Milwaukee
single-
for its, reciprocating saw.
What were your favorite for, just say, framing and like basic construction?
I think Bosch has amazing tools, but again, I like Milwaukee.
You're a sheet metal guy.
Well, so back when we had tools,
What would it have
was a Metabo,
Oh yeah, they're still around.
Walter.
Yeah.
Had that. There wasn't many. It wasn't much Bosch around.
We had a guest. We had Mike, who was a mason, and he had the best comment about DeWalt's. He loved using them to hang pictures.
Well, I gotta say, okay, when we were doing the show, DeWalt, well, they gave everybody tools, so they gave us a few of their framing saws, and remember the first ones?
Yeah.
They were plastic, right?
Yeah.
And I said, "You sure you guys want to give us these things?" I said, "Because we're gonna go through a lot of them." No. Just here. Sure enough, we would go through, I don't know, one a day.
No.
What?
Oh, burn them out. Fried them.
No.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. They just couldn't
Keep up.
Right. And our guys would use the skill, right? Heavy as shit, and you just throw it.
Yeah, and you can use gravity with them.
Right. Right. And you say, "How old's that thing?" God, it's 20 years old, man.
Exactly. It's still
right?
going.
Yeah.
It's so true. I still have mine.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I put it on the wall though.
You hung it up with a DeWalt?
I won't lie. DeWalt really got me through my most important years. It was affordable. I loved the yellow. It did it for me. Got me where I needed to get.
Do you know
to.
the whole story about the yellow?
No.
No. Tell us.
You don't, eh?
I don't know this.
This is wicked.
So the marketing company did not want yellow. for DeWalt tools.
This is back in the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah. And the president, he said, I don't care what you want. I want it yellow. I don't care if you're the marketing company or not. We're doing it yellow. Best thing he ever did, because that's all you know.
Yeah, that's the color. That's all
You're
it is.
so right.
He was-
And they're the most visible on site.
Yeah.
Out of all the colors. I know every brand's got their color, but they're the most visible. Doesn't make it right, though.
Okay, well, you know, we're going to have to play the yin yang over here.
Where did that slogan come from?
I still have DeWalt's and I still use them, Manny.
Oh, I didn't even realize that, what I just said. Oh, shit. I'm going to keep that one in there. That brings me back to, okay, so you've been building houses, basically mostly houses for the last 2 decades, right?
Yeah.
How have they changed in 2 decades? I mean, have you had a client yet that said, you know what, Jim, that's a really low price? Have you had that yet? Or they've all said, Jim, what are you smoking, man? Like, really?
No.
That's what it costs to build a house?
Yeah. No, I've never had, oh, geez, that's really cheap.
Yeah, no. It costs to build a house, especially when it's custom. And like, what are your thoughts on custom, man?
Well, custom's the way to go. But the reason the cost is so high, because of engineers. We over-engineer the house.
To cover our asses, their asses.
Yeah.
That's the reason why.
When have you ever done? Okay, I've done this a few times. You're doing a renovation, you got the ridge, and you're going to tie in the new ridge with the old ridge. The old ridge is a 1x6 with all the rafters going to it. The new one is a 16-inch LVL that
Triple. Bolted, 24 on center.
really.
You're so right.
This
It's
house,
true.
This house has been standing for 100 years.
It hasn't
and
moved.
Hasn't moved.
Weather conditions are
this
changing.
is what I got. It's insane.
Then the cost goes dramatically up.
Right. And I just see it getting
Worse and
More.
Yeah,
worse.
that's a really
Yeah,
good
worse and
point,
worse.
you know? That really is a really good point.
Everything's over-engineered because everybody's afraid. All the engineers are afraid. So they over-engineer everything.
I remember probably going back about 10 years, I think. I had met you at the Handyman Challenge. We finally got to talk. I didn't want to bother you. Everyone was always around you, picking at you, trying to ask questions. Oh, Jim, can I shake your hand and hug you and hold you? And
Well, where was Mike in this? They should have been jumping all over him, man.
You guys were all getting crazy attention, and working for Mike, I realized the personal space is so important for you guys. I mean, you guys are so cool with saying hi and saying thank you for enjoying my show or me or whatever else. And you and me got into a talk, and I think I might have got you on a bad day. And I asked you. I said we started talking about renovations, and I told you, I said I like renovating old houses, and you were like, "That's stupid. You got to just knock them down." and then someone took your time away, and I was like, "That's it? That's all I get." We just got into it.
Yeah, I was probably going through a shitty renovation.
Exactly. That's probably the reason why. But it's true, though.
We're doing one right now. How should it come down?
Just fucking bring
Should
it
it come down?
So let's talk about that. Is it smarter to knock it down, or is it just about the people not having a place to live? What? When do you not
I
do that?
refuse to let anybody. Well, first of all, if there's a renovation going on and somebody wants to live in it, I'm out. I'm not the guy.
It's not right, man.
No, if you want to, disaster rate to happen or whatever that slogan is, you're gonna end up in a fight for sure. Guaranteed.
You can't move fast enough. You
No.
can't work fast enough. You
No.
can't get shit done fast enough.
Is it the micromanaging?
And this is not a movie. It's not Money Pit. It's not as funny and glamorous as you
Right.
think it is.
No,
I'm gonna watch
it's
that,
just
by the
they
way,
have
now.
to come home. I've said to clients before, I say, look, you want to do this renovation. Great. Okay. You're going to live here. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you how it's all going to go. The first day I'm going to show up, there's going to be coffee and donuts for me. And this is going to last for about 2 weeks. And after that,
It's so true.
then after that, the donuts,
laughing.
I don't even know if there'll be donuts. There'll probably be hard donuts at this point. Right? Then there'll be no coffee. And then I call it the 3-month whatever. I said, then I'm going to walk in, and we're into this in 3 months, for 3 months now. And I said, then I'm going to get the stare from you. Basically saying, you son of a... But I did tell you. I told you this is how it's going to work. If you are not ready and being realistic about this renovation, we will not ever finish this on a good note. So move out.
They don't want to, because then they're just incurring more costs with a rental, or
But it's incurring more costs, sure, in a rental, but it's going to cost a lot more in time trying to do it.
That's what they...
And aggravation. Come on.
Why wouldn't they, and this goes back to the construction industry, why wouldn't you listen to the professional who's done it before? It wasn't your first canoe trip.
They all know better.
Why do they all know better? Because of the
Because
web.
they think they know
because
better.
of TV, because of magazines, because of everything, all their friends, everybody.
And, true, because of TV. Well, there's no TV back when I started.
Black and white.
No, but I mean, there was nothing on TV.
Yeah, no
that
rental
showed this,
shows.
right? Here you go. You're at the drywall stage. You wake up in that shit.
Yeah.
You do this across the table. It's the film of dust. You go to work in that. You come home. It hasn't changed. It's the same. You go to work, come back. Go to work, come back. It's the same. Does not change for months and months and months. And then even when you're finished, that film just doesn't seem to go away for another couple of weeks, right? You can't get up and live in that
But you're
stuff.
also saying something really important. They don't want to see a bill of $5,000, just say $1,500 or $5,000, to have a guy cleaning every single day before you get home.
Right. Like, who's going to pay for that?
Put that into rent, staying somewhere else.
And I feel sorry for a lot of these younger guys that are getting in this business and we all did it. When you're starting out, you chase, you get a job, you do anything to get the job so you can get some money coming in.
Yeah.
And you'll do anything. Yeah, okay, stay in the house. I don't care. I'll work here. I'll do it. I'll renovate your house. And you do it. But in time, you will learn, right? I mean, now no thanks. I'm just not going to do it, right? For my own sanity and your own, like.
It's the client sanity and your
Yeah,
sanity and
right.
your sanity of your guys and the crew and everybody's involved.
You're working around furniture, you're doing this. It just doesn't work.
It's a safety risk. It's a nightmare mental. It's just, it's not smart, man. Trust me. No way. I've always said get out.
Yeah, and you always shut people's cameras off also.
What are you talking about?
When they have their hidden little cameras watching you.
Well, that's the latest craze. You know about that. You probably are dealing with that.
Come on.
Clients put cameras on sites.
Really?
You don't know about this?
No? Well, I should
I'd be
watch
careful.
out.
Watch out, because
It can work for your benefit. Like, you can go up to the microphone and the camera and just say, "This guy is amazing."
I'm sure that they'll bring in body experts
But
explaining out their
we
technique.
we were recorded once and didn't know.
It's their home, their dwelling. They can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You are legally not allowed without their permission to record, but they can record.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous, slippery slope, right?
Well, we brought that up because after the 3-hour walkthrough, they said, by the way, this is recorded. And go, really? You're allowed to do that? Yep, it's my house. I can do what I want. So,
Wow.
which is fine. I mean, we didn't say anything.
Yeah. But you start thinking in the back of your head, what did we say? Or how did we say it? Or how is it going to be perceived?
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, man, me calling you an asshole meant I called you an asshole. Like,
Right.
it's just,
Yeah.
we're the only ones that get that. I don't want to get into that topic, though. but-
I am interested in a few things.
Yeah, you like that, eh? I'm interested in a few things, okay?
So for a contractor going from like small jobs, say bathroom jobs or a basement job, the average basic contractor getting into building houses, did the marketing of you having your own show change your business, or was it something else that changed your business? Like, what really made the
'cause
turnover?
I've been asked this before. I had already kind of established myself at that point.
you had a
And-
brand. You already built a brand.
Yeah. So, like I said, we were like during the 90s, we were doing really well in Leaside. It seems like once we did one there, it was just a snowball. And then we were in Leaside for about 1.5 years, 2 years, just doing stuff. And then, the Long and McQuaid's. And then I live out here in the West End, and it started to, everybody got to know me out here.
It didn't matter for you, I guess. It really didn't.
that was my attitude when anybody that asked me said, what do you think about the show? I said, look, show is number 2. My business is number 1. If the show gets in the way, I'm out. I have never looked at the show as my main focus.
It was more of an anchor.
Well,
At times.
I mean, at the time it was, okay, well, this is kind of cool. This would be, there's really nothing on that shows this, so why not? The marketing thing did go through my head. Yeah, okay, this will probably help, but it also can work against you. I lost jobs because of the show.
Wow.
You're a guy that just drives around on his motorcycle. You don't do shit. I said, okay.
Oh,
fine.
yeah, they didn't realize
That's
that
good.
was called entertainment and the magic of television.
Right. I said, if I'm not allowed to,
Have a life?
have a life, then you're not my client. So
Would you, Jim,
Well said.
would you do the show again?
I would do I would do a show again, but I would not.
What? Just
I
say
would
it.
not bow down to what is going on right now. We were asked a couple times to do some things, and I said, no, I'm not doing it.
Oh, I think I saw a few things on the other second show that I was like, whoa, there's some drama class going on there.
Yeah.
There's some.
Yeah, everything is staged. now, so.
It's funny that you said that, your construction business is number 1 and then the show was number 2. Earlier on when I started having conversations about getting a show or whatever, it was always tried to ingrain in me saying that production will always trump construction. And I just say, I can't accept that. I won't agree to that.
Right, and I don't know if you really watch how Real Renos was shot, because I said to the producer, I go, look, once you get in the way, the business and the build, I said, it's not going to work. And so that's what I mean. Literally, I got out of the truck, they mic'd me up, and I went.
You could see that. You could see that they're always trying to catch up to you.
Right. And I think that was the beauty of the show.
Because that made it real.
I even said, I said to the producer, I said, what do you care if a cameraman walks across our shot? Who cares? Obviously, they know we're shooting this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's really, that's
it's true. It's a reality show. Let it go.
Yeah.
It's not a production.
And you're so right. I always felt that being in television, at the lower level for myself, just being a glorified laborer.
Bullshit.
But I got to watch people getting involved that had no construction background at all.
No.
And they were making calls on ridiculous things that I really believe that people like yourself, people are going to look up to you and do everything you say. And it's very important that you keep it real and true, so that when we start doing renovations for people outside, like, normal contractors working with, they don't get lost in that whole fantasy world of
Right. And there's so
television
many,
construction.
I've talked to so many young guys. Oh, I just wish I could do a show. And I just,
Why?
why?
I don't think they know that Canadian television, there's no money.
First of all, one thing is you're going to get hired. So you're just another employee. You're not some star. And whatever you do with that status, that's up to you. But you're still going to have to build a construction. You were fortunate enough to already build a brand. A lot of these new guys just want to jump right into that stardom.
Right.
Not have that background. You can see that. You can tell, like how you just said, that a lot of guys are just getting in front of the camera because they're pretty enough to look in front of the camera.
Right.
Or they've got the voice or the persona for that. But they don't have the chops. I'm not going to go to the moon with Ryan Gosling because he did a movie about Neil Armstrong. I'm going to go to the moon with Neil Armstrong.
Right.
So that's why I don't believe any of the guys that are currently on TV.
It's funny. I don't know if you agree, but
I don't know. What are you going to say?
some of the best artists with their hands and mind could not speak English or speak in front of a
100%.
camera. People had to become the speaker for the contractor, because some people are just like, I don't care about the camera. There's so many great, amazing guys out there that could show so many better things.
Oh, for sure. For sure. You got to get used to the whole camera thing too. I had a little bit of camera experience before I did all this. So.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the Sunshine Boy modeling thing?
No.
Yeah? I love it. This would have been 80s?
I was 20, no, 70. First time Sunshine Boy.
Wait a minute. There's
79.
there's more than once?
Twice.
Twice. He's a 2-time Sunshine Boy.
Always runner up. Never made the number one.
and for some listeners, because we do have listeners in the UK, this has got nothing to do with Page Street.
No, we were way like page 50.
I'm going to let you know a trade secret too. When I was 12, I used to deliver the Sunday Sun route.
Oh, did you?
And I always, on my own route, when no one was looking, I would flip to the Sunshine Girl and go, hey.
Oh, yeah.
I think every boy did that, man.
For sure.
It sounds like you're doing more work for customers than you are yourself. At one point, I remember you building your own houses and selling them.
I did, but it wasn't probably one every 3-4 years.
Why did you not continue building homes the way you wanted to build them? Did you find it more fun to do it for someone else? Is that...
I love, working for other, for clients and building what they, building their dream for them, right? And the process. And usually it can be fun, it can be stressful, but, when I did my own houses, I would either try out new trades on my house. That's before I put them on a job site. And I got to try different things on my own house. So they were kind of like little guinea pigs. They turned out great. I won some awards for them. So
what is your favorite style of house? I know that you expressed it on the show.
More, kind
Cape
of
Cod.
New England.
New
Cape
England
Cod,
style.
Yeah. The last house I built was more transitional that I just sold.
Which has got a
Less than a
mix
year ago.
of contemporary and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
What
pretty-
are the trends today? What kind of, what are clients asking for these days?
this stuff here?
A lot of trim work, a lot of paneling, a lot of detail.
Not a lot. Some feature walls.
They're not
ceilings.
looking for flat surfaces.
Well, it depends. Again, if you're going modern, then
the contemporary
it's all
ones.
clean, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we tried to. If you look around, you can see the reveals around the doors.
Yeah,
we
for
tried
sure.
To,
We saw that happened.
Tried to do a little bit.
That's
of,
the commercial in you.
It is, yeah.
so,
But it's a nice mix. You're mixing it all together and it
yeah,
works.
yeah. So this is also a place for our clients to come, and then they can, I say, look, you want a crazy ass ceiling in your dining room?
Boom.
All right. You want a feature wall? Boom.
So what is Jim known for?
This. The
Wainscoting,
detail.
yeah.
The detail, yeah. Yeah.
Because you love
Every
trim.
house that I've sold, it's been, wow.
People see it. They
Yeah, because
appreciate it.
in my head, I want the wow factor as soon as you step through the front door. So either it's a feature wall like this that goes all the way up the stairs and, kind of a coffer ceiling up top, and you got the 20-foot ceiling in your foyer. That's what the real estate agents know about me, and that's how they usually sell it.
Have clients changed all that much from...
Yep.
yeah, they have. No, I'm just trying to... because I'm going to guess that
Well, our clients are younger.
they are getting younger.
Getting younger, obviously, right? I'm getting older. They're getting younger.
Of course, that's how it
and
is,
there's a lot of money that's being made in the younger, the younger clients. So I find they want everything faster. No excuse if you're running later on the job, because they're used to everything at their fingertips. And, it takes time to build something, right?
So speaking of which, are they communicating with you guys just strictly on a digital platform, or are they having site visits?
We had one client that didn't come to the house probably for 4 months.
And just communicated via what?
I said, do you want to come and see this place? No, I have no interest right now.
Wow, that's a lot of trust.
No, if it was trust or just didn't give a shit, just going to go to the bank and make money,
Wow.
then
This is a male or female client?
the mail.
Interesting.
We got to deal a lot with egos, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of egos in some of these clients because they make good money. They make really good money.
There's a lesson that's been taught to me, like by the younger generation, that I do respect. How most clients don't respect us. They look at our industry as we're beneath them. How do you feel about that?
I agree in some cases. I think with our clientele now, I don't think it's that way anymore. I remember we actually it was on the show. And if you remember the show, this client was never on. He would not come on. He didn't want his family on. And we had the flood where the roof blew off or whatever. And then we ended up wrecking his kitchen. All the water came through and everything else. We had to have the insurance company. It was like $25,000 damage done, right? It was on the show. The owner came. Cameras went off. And he looked at me and he goes, and Neil and I were almost in tears, right? We're going, holy fuck. He just looked at me. He says, hey, how you doing? I go, I'm all right, I guess. Not great. He goes, quite the mess, eh? I said, yeah. He goes, gonna fix it? I said, yeah, better than what it was. He goes, great, have a good day.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you know what he said to me when we were signing the contract? He goes, look, I don't give a shit how you do it. I have no interest in how you're going to do it. I want to know when it's going to be done and when you want to check. That's it. I said, done. And he says, and make sure you keep my wife happy. I said, well, I don't know if I can do that part. I'll leave that up to Neil.
That's when the bass kicked in. Don't you wish all
But
clients
you know
were like
what?
that?
I've done 3 houses for him since.
Wow.
That's
Great
the way
guy.
it is.
Probably one of the best clients ever. Great guy.
A couple questions for homeowners. What would you change about homeowners in the business of renovations?
What would I change? You know what? I think they really need to do their homework, not only on the contractor or who they're going to jump in bed with and be with for a year or whatever the length of time is for the thing, but I think they need to do their homework of what it actually takes to do this, to do what we do. And a lot of them don't take the time.
But where do they get that information?
Well,
Where can they get that information?
That's a good question.
There's no website
Don't
out there
tell me
that says-
Google, okay?
Don't tell what? Sorry.
Don't tell me Google it.
Oh, I hate Google.
I'm just trying to figure out where do they get their information from? What blogs and vlogs?
Well,
and-
again, I think, I guess that's where the referrals come in. Talk to past clients and listen, like if you're going to hire me, then obviously you trust me. So then trust what I'm telling you. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'll be transparent about where the highs and the lows are going to come. I'm going to tell you you're going to hate my guts at one time. And by the end of it, hopefully you will be happy, you'll pay us, and you'll have a fantastic house. But this is what you're going to go through. And you know what? I mean, the clients we have right now are kind of like that. They're listening. And I've for one client, just the second, third house I've done for him. We just finished down in Lawrence Park, 7,500 square foot house.
How do you guys market yourself? Is it strictly all just word of mouth nowadays? But you gotten to the point where it's word of mouth that, okay, Jim and Dan, they built us a house. It's beautiful. It's great. There's no issues. We loved it. There was ups and downs, but why?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been around for a long time. So, I mean, I've, got the name, I guess, or people know who I am. I still put I still go out and meet architects. Still, go and do that. Say, hey guys, haven't talked to you for a while. What do you got? You got to pound the pavement. You got to work
still
for it.
keep-
You got to still
remind
do it,
people.
right? I can't email somebody like that. No one's ever going to send you work by emailing them.
No.
Maybe an email and say, hey, I'm going to give you a shout in the next week. Hope you answer my call.
Unless you're bidding on a commercial job, right?
Yeah. Let's have a chat. Let's go for lunch. Well, let's do the old way.
The old school way.
Yeah. Face to face. How can you tell what the person's like? Got to read it in their eyes, man.
I just read a book recently, and there was a note in there which I really respected, where he said, forget the email, man. Send them a letter. Put a postage stamp on it.
Right.
Present yourself, present your company, present who you are. Send them a letter.
Yeah.
That will get noticed over 100 emails that come
Wow.
through. And I'm like,
that's a
that
great idea.
is a great idea.
More junk mail.
No, man. People, what do you get in the mail? Bills.
That's personal, man.
That's personal. So, I mean, like, it doesn't take that much longer to write an actual letter. Type it out, print it out, whatever, but sign it.
You know what? That's actually, I've had a couple customers give me letters at the end of the project, and I've taken them home. And you know what? You're right. I've never forgotten those people. Out of all the jobs you do, those are the people that kind of stand out.
You know
It's
what?
a great
They've
point.
taken the time.
To do it.
It's passionate. It's personal. Yeah.
How is your relationship with designers? Has it always been the same from the beginning to now?
No, I mean, you know what? I mean, some we get along, some we don't.
There's a stigma attached to designer.
Well, you know what? I don't. Yeah, I mean, I just don't like to work with the designers that come in and kind of just want to take over the whole job and really don't give a shit how it's built. Just make sure you can do what I want. Well, it doesn't work that way. It's got to be built to stand.
I feel the same way.
Then there's others that respect what we do. And you know what? Then you're going to get the respect back. And we can work together.
Well, we're the ones making their dreams come true, or the homeowner's dream come true through them and their vision, right?
Yep.
I want Carlito to bring up our second segment here.
Okay.
Oh, Green Book talk.
Green Book. Oh, Christ.
Well,
Burn that thing.
You know what? It's
Did you just say burn?
you know what's funny is that you mentioned this, and I thought it was ironic that you brought this up early on in this conversation, which is fantastic. It's almost like you read my mind. Are you Croatian?
Ukrainian. I think we're close.
Psychic
just over the
psychic
fence.
abilities. So I'll give the one today. It's section 29(3)(a). Constructor failing to ensure cleanup or toilet facilities. How much do you think it is?
What's the fine on that one, huh?
So
To have a clean toilet?
no, just to have a clean job site and to have a toilet for his guys.
I'm going to go 550.
What'd you say?
550.
550.
It's a new rapper.
$550,
Manny's
Jim.
now 550.
I'm going to say 1,000.
1,000.
You know what?
How much is it?
Manny obviously knows these because he's been reading these every single day. It is first offense is 550.
So it would be 1,000 for me.
But how many times? I mean,
You don't remember that one on the show?
no.
Oh, I remember that one. I remember it.
I got the phone call in the car. Cameras are on in the car.
Yeah,
and everything
I remember
else,
that.
And then,
About the roof, about the guys not being tied off.
no.
Oh, no, which one are you talking about?
No, this was in the winter, and one of my guys called me up and said, "Look, they're shutting down the job." I said, "Why?" He goes, "Well, he wants a heater in the crapper." I said, "Heater in the crapper?" I said, "What's next? A magazine rack? Like, what do we got to do?"
Well, how many guys did you have on that site?
There was two.
Then you don't need it.
No, are you sure about that? 'Cause
Yeah.
Well, we just had
no.
a snowstorm.
It's a
So
new
he was
rule.
No.
he was digging. So we had to dig a path. So they shut us down for a few days, and then I phoned the super and their superintendent, and everything was fine. But I got nailed again after. Yeah, we weren't shooting the show at this time. We were on sabbatical. It was after our 5th season, and again got a phone call. I should actually shouldn't even be telling you this, but I'll tell you anyway.
You realize that this is being recorded, right?
Yeah, I know. man.
I like all the dirty stuff.
But so anyways, I get the phone call again. "Hey Jim, we're shut down over here." Go, "For what?" "We're a half an inch out with our temporary stairs." I said, "But those are standard stairs that we just take from site to site. Like, it's now we're a half an inch out." He goes, "Yeah,
What do you mean, on the rise?
yep. This is temporary stairs that you just drag out of a new house." And he goes, and he wants hot water and a heated toilet facility. I go, "What?" I said, "Who is this guy?" He says, "Well, the first thing he said," he goes, "Is this Caruk's job?" He said, "Yeah, of course. It's Jim's job." He goes, "He's the guy that was bitching about putting heat in the shitter."
So you were blacklisted.
Yeah. I get him on the phone and I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "I want you to put the toilet that has heat and running hot water." I said, "Dude,
It's not even mandatory.
Okay, but that's about $800 a month. It will cost me $1,000 to hook up the hydro for it. He goes, not my problem. I said, no, it is your problem, because now I got to go to the client and say, now your crapper is going to cost you $8,000 for while we're here. And why are you doing this? He goes, well, because it's you, because I want to.
That's what he said.
What
I said,
douchebag.
really? Okay. I said, the job site down the street and then the 4 other ones around the corner? Yep. No, they're fine. And they all had the same toilets that all of us have, right? So I phoned their supervisor. I said, hey, what's going on here? He says, let me talk to him. Nothing. This is a week. We're shut down for a week. Just so happens, I'm out for dinner, and these 2 ladies come up to me and go, oh, Jim, I really like your show, da-da-da-da-da. I said, oh, great, thanks, Off they go. So anyways, go to the can, half an hour later, whatever, and I come out and I could see them looking into the dining room area and going, oh, we must have missed him. He's gone. And I said, no, here I am. And they go, oh, great, Jim. It's great meeting you. If I can ever help you, I would love to. I said, oh, okay. And she handed me her card. I look at her card and I go, really? Wow, have I got a story for you. And she was the assistant minister, deputy minister of labor minister.
Look at that.
Sophie. Lovely, lovely lady. And I told her the story, and I said, look, you know what? If every other job site had that, facility on it, I wouldn't have a problem doing it. But I said, it's clearly he's out to get me. She goes, okay, can you be down at my office on Monday? I said, sure. What time? This was on a Friday. She goes, yeah. I said, okay, great. Be down there at 10. Went down. She had my whole life spread out. How many times,
Wow.
Ministry of Labor, you and there. She goes, you know what? She goes, and it was from like late 80s, maybe early 90s, right? 91 or something. She goes, you know what? You've been a pretty good guy through the whole thing. He says, it's really, really nothing for you to worry about. And I said, well, what do I do about this? She goes, don't worry about it. It's done. You won't ever hear from him again.
Wow. You know what? It's great to hear that, because some of these.
Well, you know what? Because it's just, and don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes we deserve to be straightened out.
Yes.
I will be the first one to admit, when the show first started, when I watched it, I go, holy shit, we need to clean up our act. Hats off to Real Renos. It made us clean up our act. You know what? Most of these, building inspector or these ministry inspectors are good guys. They're just doing their job, and they're just trying to keep the guys safe. You know what? There was guys that weren't tied off, a couple stucco guys, and they came out, and he came out and he says, "Where's your tie off?" While they're up on the scaffold, and we had just warned them the day before, guys, tie off. And they go, "Oh well, it's in the trunk." I go, "All right." $350 fine for each of them. And then when I showed up, he goes, "Jim, I could give you a $350 fine too." I said, "But I warned them yesterday." He goes, "Okay, next time you warn them, just write it down and, document it. You can't force them." Well, I guess I could. You just tell them to get off the site, right? Mm-hmm. But you know what? Most of these guys are pretty good.
These inspectors, they should be working hand in hand with us. And you're right. They should be only catching the important things, structural, potential fires.
But they can't make it personal.
No, they can't.
No. You can't make it
And you know
personal.
what? Like, you can't reinvent that wheel. There's a law put there. And when you take it above and beyond for the wrong reasons, like trying to put someone through mental harm or slowing someone's business down,
Yeah.
that's just wrong.
It's wrong. Yeah, it's just
It's about being human, right?
Right.
We're all human. Let's treat each other like humans.
But
some
going
of
back
us are
to
creation.
going back to the whole TV thing. There you go. TV did not work
yeah.
for me.
At that point,
No.
it painted a target.
Yeah.
Jim, these are all fabulous fucking stories. And I still got like a shitload more questions, man. I fucking love all this shit. It's great, right? We got to take a pause because I want to split this show into 2 parts.
Okay, man.
We got still more questions to ask you.
Yeah, 'cause I
so
do.
we
I
got to
have
get
lots
out
of
of here.
questions.
We got to get out of here. So Carlito, thank you, Jim, for now. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Get us out of here. Thank you very much, Jim, for all the stories, man. This has been great. We got more. We got another episode coming back with Jim Caruk, Caruk and Hall, and learning about construction, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, into 2020s.
Wait, 1974. 416 baby.